You don't need to love your career. You just need to be able to tolerate it so you can finance doing what you love. Don't find fulfillment in your career. Find fulfillment in the hobbies you have, adventures you go on, and people you help because you have the financial freedom to do so. If you love your job, it's awesome, but this isn't realistic for many people. Agreed. Even the things I love doing most, I would hate to make them into a career. I would hate to be forced to do my hobbies on a time crunch and to the specifications and quality that customers desire. Instead, I have a job that I can tolerate. The people are nice. The atmosphere is fine. The hours, flexibility, benefits, and pay are decent. So putting up with the work itself allows me to live my life how I want. Nothing wrong with that. For me, the work matters less than the pay, benefits, and the atmosphere. I could find a job where the work is perfectly tailored to me in every way, but if the people there are toxic, then the experience will be trash. I don't love the work that I do now. It's a little mindless, but my coworkers are fantastic. I look forward to seeing them every day. I stopped becoming motivated to have a career when I realized I don't enjoy doing any of what I love for profit, since it essentially becomes doing your hobby on other people's terms. I like having a job that pays the bills and simultaneously doesn't care if I use red or green to do the line art on the picture I'm drawing. So much this. I regret turning my hobby into a job. Left that and have come back to what pays bills comfortably. Still don't feel motivated enough to pursue said hobby with the same passion as before. Having worked in the entertainment industry for 12 years, I can't tell you how many creative people I've known, including audio-video editors, animators, graphic designers, etc., who all thought they were going to live out their dreams of letting their creative colors fly, only to have the soul sucked out of them from monotonously following orders from the directors and execs who actually run the show, to the point of changing careers entirely. Meh, not a lot I'd love doing these days. So work is pretty hollow and draining no matter what job it is. I found unlikely enjoyable jobs to be the best. Years ago, I worked as a warehouse clerk, just packing orders and then computer stuff like the labels and whatnot. Literally the most robot and mundane thing ever. But I loved my coworkers who were always a few feet away, the schedule was perfect, and everyone, including the boss, had a let's get this over with and go home vibe. At the end of the day, you weren't drained because autopilot and just talking through the day, it was pretty good. My job is hollow and the hobbies I once loved no longer bring me joy. My hobbies have become drinking and drugs to forget about having to work and waiting until I die. I think having a job I care about would change things. For most people, work is at least half your life. Better make it something you enjoy or is at least tolerable. Yep. We spend most of our lives asleep, using the bathroom, and at work. You'll die inside if you work doing something that scrapes your brain matter off every day. The problem is most people don't know what their passions are, and if they do, it's not something that can be made into a lucrative career. Exactly. As someone who truly loves his career, I couldn't imagine spending 40 hours a week doing something I didn't love for the rest of my life. This is definitely an unpopular opinion. I don't really love the work, but I love the perks. I can work from anywhere with electricity and internet access, and the pay is great. I found when I turned a hobby of mine into work, I slowly started to hate it. I'm fine with my job being meh, as long as it's relatively low stress and isn't killing me slowly, I'm happy. I keep my passions separate so they stay fun to do. Had a job in IT. Pay was great, but the work was highly unpleasant. Always had a highly fulfilling personal life with many lasting friendships and successful hobbies. Dumped half my salary for a job in mental health, which is my true passion, and I couldn't be happier. Still have all the outside fulfillment too, but none of the bells and whistles that come with high pay. I need to love my career to get through the day. I've done so many jobs I've hated for so long, I refuse to do anything else. Why should I be miserable just to scrape by? I think there is a world of difference between being miserable and tolerance. You can do a job you don't mind and don't hate. You might not love it, but you aren't miserable. That's what I think is being referred to in this post. I agree. I just feel working a job ruins my everyday. I work, I just hate it. I want to sit and watch tons of TV episodes, movies, play video games, go to gym, cook a nice food for 2 hours, hang out with friends, etc. But I feel only working and sleeping all time isn't healthy at all to me. Same, but we have to work in order to have money and survive, so I don't know what to do. Yep, makes me miss college. The lulls of college made the intense days of studying worth it. Off semesters with friends were the best, and we spent many days just smoking weed and watching TV, playing board games. Now I work a 9-5 where in winter it's dark an hour before I log off, and I feel like my day's ruined. True, but like I'm 21 now and I'm going to work until I'm in my 70s. That's a long time and I don't want to get burned out halfway, so yeah, I chose something I loved. I know a few people who had the same mentality as you and they did very well. I can't really think of anything that's not affected by business people and bosses. I'd love to be a professional musician, but then I'd always be working for the artist, or the producer or the executive. I followed my other passion, video, and it killed it for me. I love that I still have music as something for myself. I create what I want and there's no money involved to make things all messy. Also, for young folks entering the workforce, recognize that it takes time to get into a position where you can really start really changing things. I've heard so many recent graduates saying how they want to do meaningful work and want to make an impact. Then they get disillusioned when their responsibilities are entry level. Focus on learning and on making yourself useful, and opportunities will increase. Also, be wary of the idea that you want to graduate and immediately jump into a high-level position because you want to make money fast. Remember, responsibility and pay come with increased consequences. I always go over this with recent grads. If I hire you as an analyst, I'm expecting to have to train you. I expect that you'll make lots of mistakes. I expect to have to correct them. I won't fire you for this, but I won't promote you until you stop repeating your mistakes. If I hire you as an associate, I expect you to at least be able to function on day one. Yes, I'll have to teach you the company, the culture, and the way we do things, but you should have a concept of what we're doing. I'll review your work and help you and correct your mistakes, once or twice. Just don't keep repeating your mistakes. If I hire you as a director, I do not expect to need to review your work. However, if you make a decent-sized mistake, you're fired. Period. Not because you didn't know what you were doing, but because you didn't know enough to ask before you did it. We don't have time to train leadership not to make stupid choices. A caveat though. Personal experience? Yeah, there's a lot of exploitative employers out there. You gotta watch for that. If you're starting a job and expecting to advance in the first 1-2 years, forget it. That's unrealistic. If it's 4-5 years and your boss won't even have a conversation with you about future opportunities despite having a glowingly positive reputation in the office, fuck that place. Some real problems that can happen. An employer likes you exactly where you are and doesn't promote you cause they don't know how to replace you. Employers do not think about who deserves it, they think about what's the easiest and the best for the company. It's logical, but at the same time, I think you have to recognize such scenarios when possible and put your foot down. They won't listen if you're passive complacent, they will if you're threatening to walk otherwise. Managers not wanting competition. I actually had this at my last job. 3 out of 4 departments wanted me badly for an opening position, with one even going out of their way to request me, the kicker being work contracts were expiring, they were not renewing all of us, so it was promotion or being let go. I was not offered the promotion, I later discovered, because that 4th department was rather competitive and didn't like the idea of myself and some others being on the same level as them. Unfortunately, that was the same department with the most sway with the bosses. Very awkward scenario where one department is refusing to provide feedback on why I'm not considered, meanwhile another is letting me know I was the star employee and another is gifting me €80 whiskey as a going away present. I was not the first time this happened either. That entire company had a history of those in higher positions, except the bosses, who were none the wiser, focusing more on protecting their positions rather than asking what is in the best interest of the company. Sometimes people are petty bitches, and you gotta watch for that. Some simply take things for granted. They'll happily feed you as much work as you can handle but never comprehend the idea you might expect more. Hell, some consider the harder workers who expect a raise to be a bad thing because they're allergic to bonuses and raises, only seeing these as an extra expense instead of a fee for better work. I totally second this. People are always telling you to get paid doing what you love. Guess what? If I had to do what I love to get paid to live, I wouldn't love it anymore. Plain and simple. Work is a means to life, not life itself. This is only because of all the self-esteem boosting child-rearing techniques and social media lying to people about being able to do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. The reality is, as Chris Rock said, you can be anything you're good at, as long as they're hiring. Realists finance what they love to do and if they're lucky can make it a side hustle. If really fortunate, eventually make a living at it. Maybe for you. I'm tired of dead-end jobs. I get why some people just want to clock in clock out, but I can't do that until the day I die. This isn't even remotely an unpopular opinion. I'll share the opposite, probably more unpopular opinion. Doing something you love for the majority of your waking hours is a blessing that very few ever find, but I would say that it is worth searching for. Be proactive in doing so, meet with a career coach, really do some self-reflecting, try a few different career paths. It is absolutely worth investing the time in figuring out what you love to do the most. You may eventually recognize that you'll never have a job you truly love, but you'll likely be doing something far more enjoyable than if you had never made an effort to search in the first place. Millennials and Gen Z have been kind of screwed over by being taught this mentality that your job is to be your greatest passion or else you'll feel forever unfulfilled. I think it's fine to expect some level of fulfillment or enjoyment from your career, but it definitely doesn't have to be your greatest passion. My greatest passions are writing and acting, but my job in advertising is still fun and it gives me the money and stability to do the things I really love. It's all about learning to be content with reality, rather than the fantasy life you've created in your head. My job keeps me alive. That's all. I don't get paid enough to have hobbies or go on adventures I haven't already been on 1,000 times.